I've known the universe is pointless since before puberty. I like to think I've truly accepted that and spend my time doing things I enjoy. Or maybe I'm lying about my own acceptance, instead distracting myself with school and social commitments. I wrote that on March 25th, 2020. Social distancing and the pandemic were new things back then, and I was reflecting on that. And I wrote about it in this journal, where a lot of existential dread gets written about. Contemplating the point of our world is nothing new to me, like I wrote. I've been feeling anxiety about that for years. And the most helpful thing I've found about it is journaling, and I started that about 3 years ago. I was a junior in high school, and my headspace was a little something like this. In between states of excitement while in choir or theater, I spent a lot of time feeling scared about being myself. I was doing my best to be honest and authentic, but I felt this deep, unexplainable anxiety that the things I was doing were wrong. And I had these subconscious tendencies that I think a lot of teenagers have that were somewhat suicidal. My life was good. I had really good friends. I went to a really good school. I had these activities. I had a lot going for me. I was just so worried about offending someone, or being a bad friend, or messing up on stage, or not doing well in school, or breaking my girlfriend's heart, or being a disappointing son. And all this noise would just bounce off the walls of my head, and it'd reverberate, and it became too much. I know it sounds dramatic, but it's the best I can do with language to describe how I remember that period in my life. I was hormonal. I was a sleep-deprived teenager so focused on doing well in school that I ignored my own mental health. So after a couple of sleepless nights, I decided that I really wanted to make a change. Me and my first girlfriend had just broken up, and her last present to me was a blank journal. So at first I just wanted to write down in it every day. And I'm looking at some of my old journals right here, but unfortunately I don't know where that very first one is. I'm hoping that I left it back in Nebraska. But I do remember what those first journal entries were like. I used the pages as a to-do list at first. It felt good to organize my thoughts and cross things off. But as the days went by and I realized that the voices in my head were a little quieter, I think I started to see the value in writing. I'd always admired people who kept lifelong journals like Henry David Thoreau, so I thought I'd start doing that. 3 years later, I have a very detailed, albeit inconsistent record of the past 3 years of my life. And that is a peculiar thing, to revisit my past selves. Because when I write, I'm not thinking about what older Cassidy will think of me. I'm thinking about the present, myself. I'm thinking about my feelings and the events happening all around me. That is a really hard thing to admit. I come from a culture that values selflessness, and I've struggled to accept my selfish tendencies as what they are. I have to remind myself that I will spend more time with Cassidy than anyone else on this planet. And so through that lens, my relationship with myself is the cornerstone of the chemical reactions we call life. I think I'm overthinking. March 30th, 2019. There are periods in my life where I will write a lot, and then other periods where I won't touch my journal for days or weeks. This year's journal is about 3/4 full of quarantine entries, despite quarantine only taking up a third of the year. Social interaction is a must for human beings. We need to communicate, or at least I do. Technology can ease that burden, but it can't replace face-to-face contact. When I look at my own mental health during the pandemic, I can tell that writing every day kept me sane. No matter what friends I was missing or uncomfortable feelings I was having, putting all of that down on the page made it real. It made my feelings real. Now, journaling is not a new thing, but if the angst and the anxiety that I was talking about sound familiar to you, I strongly encourage you to grab a notebook and just start writing. There are no rules, no expectations, nothing you need to do to make anyone else happy inside of a journal. It is a blank page waiting for you to mirror your own reflection. I've yet to find a better way to understand myself. After writing my last entry in this guy, I knew I wanted to try something different in my next journal. So I've also kept a planner over the past few years, so I thought I would try combining the two. Enter the bullet journal. Blank space for unfiltered thoughts, an organized grid for scheduling. This is my first time using a bullet journal, and I thought I would make a video about it in the future, but if you're interested in learning more, I'll link some resources in the description. While I personally prefer the analog format of a paper journal, the ends are more important than the means, at least in this case. If journaling doesn't work for you, maybe try keeping voice memos of your thoughts in your phone, or use a more curated journaling app. The overall goal is to document and vocalize your thoughts in a healthy manner. Do that however you'd like. Thank you for watching this video. I view this channel as one big experiment, and doing this video is just another way to tell stories. I hope you found some value in this, and if you have any feedback to give me, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And today I will leave you with a quote I used to end every journal entry with. I vow to live fully in each moment and look at all creatures through eyes of compassion.